Most people think hitting $500,000 in net worth means they've made it. But here's what nobody tells you about crossing that line. This is actually the most dangerous moment in your entire wealth-building journey. Not because the money disappears, but because your brain starts playing tricks on you that can destroy everything you've worked for. Today, we're breaking down the $500,000 wealth trap and why smart, disciplined people suddenly make devastating financial decisions right when success seems within reach. You've been saving, investing, and building for years. You've hit your first $100,000, then $200,000, now you're staring at $500,000. The numbers feel real now. Substantial? Your portfolio swings can equal someone's annual salary in a single day. A good week in the market generates more than most people save in months. This is where the trap activates, because at this level, money stops feeling theoretical and starts feeling like power. The psychological shift at $500,000 is brutal and predictable. Your relationship with risk changes overnight. Decisions that seemed reckless at $100,000 suddenly feel reasonable. Why? Because you now have enough money to make really expensive mistakes, but not enough money to easily recover from them. You're in the danger zone where confidence meets consequence. Let me paint the picture. Sarah hits $520,000 in her investment accounts. She's been following a boring index fund strategy for 8 years. Dollar cost averaging every month, rebalancing annually, ignoring the noise. Then she sees her neighbor buy a rental property and claim he's making 15% returns. Her brain does the math. 15% on $500,000 is $75,000 a year. That's more than she makes at her job. Suddenly, her 7% index fund returns feel pathetic. She starts researching real estate, studying market trends, analyzing cash flow projections. Within 3 months, she pulls $200,000 from her portfolio to put down on a duplex. The numbers look perfect on paper. Rental income covers the mortgage with cash flow left over. She's finally optimizing her money instead of just parking it in boring funds. 6 months later, one tenant stops paying rent. The eviction process drags for months. The other unit needs a new roof. Property taxes increase. What looked like passive income becomes active stress. The cash flow positive investment is now bleeding money every month. Sarah has to dip into her remaining investments to cover expenses. Her wealth-building momentum grinds to halt. This isn't a real estate horror story. This is the $500,000 trap in action. At this wealth level, you have just enough money to access investments that seem sophisticated but require expertise you don't possess. The trap isn't the investment itself. It's the confidence that comes from having a substantial portfolio balance. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far and want more topics like this, comment the word "more" so I know. Here's what happens in your brain when you cross the $500,000 threshold. The same discipline that got you there suddenly feels too slow. You start viewing your steady approach as naive instead of prudent. The mathematical reality of compound growth gets overshadowed by the emotional pull of acceleration. You begin to believe that having money means you should be doing something more sophisticated with it. The wealth management industry preys on this psychology. Private banking relationships suddenly become available. Alternative investments get pitched. Sophisticated strategies with complicated fee structures start looking attractive. The message is clear. Boring portfolios are for people with smaller accounts. You've graduated to something more advanced. But sophistication in investing often correlates inversely with returns. The more moving parts, the more things that can break. The more exotic the investment, the less you truly understand the risks. At $500,000, you're wealthy enough to access these complex products, but not wealthy enough to afford the education or diversification needed to use them safely. The trap deepens because this wealth level brings social pressures you've never experienced. You start interacting with people who have more money. Their investment stories become your benchmarks. Someone mentions they made 30% last year in private equity. Another talks about their crypto allocation. Your steady 7% starts feeling embarrassing. Comparison at this level is particularly toxic because the stakes are higher. When you had $50,000 invested, comparing yourself to others was mostly harmless. The differences weren't life-changing. But when someone else's investment story represents hundreds of thousands in potential gains, the emotional pressure to keep up becomes overwhelming. This is where intelligent people make catastrophic decisions. They abandon strategies that have worked for years because those strategies suddenly feel insufficient. They chase returns without understanding risks. They confuse complexity with intelligence. They mistake activity for progress. The most insidious part of the trap is that early mistakes often get rewarded. Maybe you put $50,000 into a speculative stock and it doubles. Now you have confirmation that your new approach works. Your confidence soars. You increase position sizes. You take more risks. You mistake luck for skill. The market has a cruel way of giving you just enough early success to fund your eventual destruction. And to stop these mistakes, we are building the Trip to Wealth Command Center, a Google Sheets system that tracks your income, spending, investing, and net worth in one place. It acts as a strategy hub that reveals money leaks, growth opportunities, and how small changes compound. Join the early access list below. The tool will be out soon. Let's talk about leverage, because this is where the $500,000 trap becomes truly dangerous. At this wealth level, borrowing against your assets becomes an option. Home equity lines of credit suddenly seem reasonable. Portfolio margin accounts become available. The pitch is seductive. Why earn 7% when you can borrow at 4% and earn 10% on the difference? Leverage amplifies everything, including mistakes. A 10% decline in a leverage position doesn't just hurt. It can wipe out years of progress. But at $500,000, leverage feels manageable. You convince yourself you understand the risks. You tell yourself you'll only use conservative amounts. You believe you can time the market well enough to avoid trouble. Marcus thought the same thing. He had $600,000 in index funds earning steady returns. He took out a $300,000 home equity loan at 5% interest and invested it in a diversified portfolio. The math looked bulletproof. Even conservative 8% returns would net him 3% profit on borrowed money. $9,000 in free money every year. The first year went perfectly. His investments returned 11%. After paying loan interest, he pocketed $18,000 in profit. He felt like he'd discovered a secret that financial advisors were too conservative to share. The second year started well, too. By summer, he was up another 8%. Then September hit. Market volatility spiked. His leveraged portfolio dropped 15% in 6 weeks. What would have been a $90,000 loss on his original $600,000 became a $135,000 loss on his $900,000 leveraged position. Suddenly, he owed more on his home equity loan than his investments were worth. He had to sell at the worst possible time to meet margin requirements. In 18 months, Marcus went from $600,000 in assets to $350,000 in debt. The same intelligence and discipline that built his wealth became the confidence that destroyed it. This is the $500,000 trap at its most vicious. You have enough money to access destructive tools, but not enough money to survive using them poorly. The psychological research on wealth and decision-making reveals why this trap is so predictable. As account balances grow, people experience what behavioral economists call the wealth effect. Paper gains feel like real income. Unrealized profits create spending confidence. Risk tolerance increases not because circumstances have changed, but because the numbers look bigger. At $500,000, daily portfolio fluctuations can exceed most people's monthly income. A 2% up day generates $10,000. Your brain processes this as a windfall, even though nothing has actually been earned. This phantom income effect leads to lifestyle inflation, increased spending, and most dangerously, increased risk-taking. The trap is particularly cruel because it strikes right when you're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. $500,000 invested at 7% annual returns with no additional contributions becomes $1 million in about 10 years. You're genuinely close to financial independence. The steady approach that got you there will continue working. But the proximity to your goal makes patience feel impossible. This is when people abandon their systematic approach for get-rich-quicker schemes. They see the finish line and sprint instead of maintaining their pace. They forget that compound interest requires time and consistency, not cleverness and acceleration. The very mindset that created their wealth gets replaced by impatience that destroys it. The solution isn't to be less ambitious or avoid all risk. The solution is to recognize the psychological trap and build systems that protect you from your own confidence. First, establish position limits before you need them. Decide that no single investment will ever represent more than 10% of your portfolio. Write this rule down when markets are calm and your judgment is clear. Second, create implementation delays for any major financial decision. When you want to make a significant change to your investment strategy, implement a mandatory waiting period. 72 hours for smaller decisions, 30 days for major ones. Most emotional financial decisions look terrible after the initial excitement wears off. Third, maintain connections to your original investment philosophy. Keep reading the books that guided your early success. Review your investment policy statement regularly. Remember why you chose your original approach. Your past self, the one who built your first 100,000, had wisdom worth preserving. Fourth, diversify your confidence. Instead of putting all your wealth-building energy into investment optimization, focus some attention on career advancement and side income development. Often the highest returns come from increasing your earning power, not from sophisticated investment strategies. A $10,000 raise provides more guaranteed value than chasing an extra percentage point of investment returns. The wealthiest people I know became boring at exactly the point where they could afford to be interesting. They recognize that preservation beats optimization once you have meaningful assets. They understood that time was more powerful than tactics. They chose the certainty of compound growth over the excitement of active management. This doesn't mean accepting mediocre returns. Index fund investing consistently beats active management over long time periods. Dollar cost averaging eliminates timing risk. Rebalancing forces you to buy low and sell high automatically. These aren't exciting strategies, but they're mathematically superior to most alternatives. The $500,000 trap exists because it exploits our deepest psychological biases. Loss aversion makes us overreact to short-term volatility. Overconfidence makes us believe we can predict outcomes we can't control. Social comparison makes us change strategies that are working. Availability bias makes us overweight recent dramatic examples. Breaking free from the trap requires understanding that wealth building is primarily a psychological challenge disguised as a mathematical one. The math is actually straightforward. Spend less than you earn, invest consistently in diversified assets, give compound interest time to work. The psychology is where people struggle. Managing emotions, controlling impulses, staying patient when others seem to be getting rich quickly. At $500,000, you're not just managing money anymore. You're managing the psychological pressure that comes with having money. This is a skill set most people never develop because they never reach this level of wealth. The irony is that the same traits that helped you accumulate wealth, ambition, and optimization mindset can become liabilities if not properly channeled. The most successful wealth builders treat their investment strategy like a utility company treats their infrastructure. Boring, reliable, and requiring minimal intervention. They understand that excitement in investing usually correlates with poor returns. They've learned to find satisfaction in consistency rather than complexity. Your goal at this wealth level shouldn't be to maximize returns. It should be to minimize the chance of catastrophic loss while allowing compound interest to continue working. This means accepting potentially lower returns in exchange for much higher certainty. It means prioritizing sleep over yield. It means choosing boring over brilliant. The $500,000 trap has destroyed more wealth than market crashes, inflation, or economic recessions. It's subtle, it's psychological, and it strikes precisely when people feel most confident about their financial decision-making. But recognizing the trap is half the battle. The other half is having systems and rules that protect you from your own success. Remember, reaching 500,000 isn't arrival, it's evolution. Your mindset needs to shift from accumulation to preservation. Your focus should move from optimization to protection. Your energy should redirect from complexity to consistency. The rules that got you here will continue working, but only if you resist the temptation to abandon them for something that feels more sophisticated. The truly wealthy understand that boring wins. They've learned that sophistication is often the enemy of success. They know that the best investment strategy is the one you can stick with through all market conditions. They've discovered that wealth building is more about avoiding mistakes than making brilliant moves. If you can resist the $500,000 trap, if you can stay boring when exciting options become available, if you can maintain discipline when confidence tells you to be clever, then you'll likely reach true financial independence. The math is on your side. Time is on your side. Compound interest is on your side. Your biggest enemy is your own psychology. The choice is yours. You can chase the sophisticated strategies that promise faster results, or you can trust the boring approach that actually delivers them. You can try to optimize every percentage point, or you can let time do the heavy lifting. You can make your money exciting, or you can make it secure. But you probably can't do both. The $500,000 trap is waiting for you. Now that you know it exists, you can avoid it. Stay boring, stay disciplined, and let compound interest finish what you started. Your future self will thank you for choosing security over sophistication, even when every instinct tells you to do the opposite. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice. It is important to conduct thorough research and consult with financial professionals before making any investment decisions. The value of investments can fluctuate, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Always assess your risk tolerance and investment goals before allocating your capital. If you found value today, I highly recommend watching my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to leave your comment below, especially if this video made you think differently. I appreciate your support more than you know. Until next time, stay consistent, stay patient, and stay winning. See you in the next one, Money Magician.